Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of this podcast.
One of the most monumental happenings in the history of the Muppets.
In the history of podcasts, in the history of Muppets, in the history of me.
In the history of you, it is sadly one of the most monumental events in the history of me.
I mean, I don't think I've ever, successfully run my own podcast for a year. So,
And put an episode out every week? Come on.
we skipped a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but we plan those weeks.
That is true.
Usually.
Yeah, we have never messed up a recording of this podcast. We have never, ever had an issue with files disappearing or not recording.
Neither of us have ever forgotten to turn our recorders on.
No, especially not today.
Not the person that you wouldn't think would forget to turn their recorder on.
This definitely didn't happen 15 minutes ago, as we are talking right now. But to celebrate this 1-year anniversary of the podcast, we are going back to repeat our very first episode. And by repeat, I mean we just watched the same stuff we watched in the first episode, which was the Muppet Movie and the Muppets Go Hollywood.
Do you feel like you have a new perspective on them? Are you older and wiser now?
I mean, I feel like I'm at least more experienced at watching and talking about Muppet things, so I feel like I have a slightly new perspective on some of it. And also, we barely touched on the Muppets Go Hollywood last time, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit more this time than we did last time.
I didn't have the guts to go back and listen to the first episode.
Oh, I did. It was a little rougher than I remembered. It's not terrible in any way, but there are some things.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. And this is a perfect podcast.
This is the 10,000th hour of the show. So
it feels like
we're
it
now
sometimes.
masters.
So the other way we are going to be celebrating 1 year of this podcast existing is with a special announcement. And that special announcement is, cue drum roll. That's your drum roll?
I don't have very flexible lips.
Okay, well, then we'll skip the drum roll. We are launching a Patreon. That's right, we did it. We had the guts to step up and launch a Patreon for our podcast.
This is our plan the whole time.
To get your money. But yes, we are launching a Patreon. It is, just an additional way if you want to show some extra support for this podcast, if you have a few bucks laying around each month that you feel like throwing at us. We are going to have one tier, is a $4 a month tier. And for that, you will get access to a Kermitment Discord where you can talk about Muppets and non-Muppets, and that's pretty much probably it. That's everything. On top of having access to the Discord where you can talk about Muppet and non-Muppet things with fellow Kermitment listeners, you will also get access to some exclusive content. Now, we're not going to be doing any special secret podcast episodes where we're talking about, Muppet Show Season 5 exclusively on Patreon. We're not going to get...
There will be no mainline Muppet things or anything like we haven't taken anything off our schedule and put it into a paywall.
Right, exactly. So what we will be doing there, though, is occasionally some movie commentaries of things we have watched and talked about on the podcast. But also, we will be doing regular streams over there where we are going to be streaming ourselves playing some Muppet video games.
Can we do the Great Santa Claus switch on Christmas time this year?
I mean, Sam, it's our Patreon. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, if you want to, show this podcast some financial support. We don't expect it, obviously. It is a little bonus thing, but we do appreciate it. So you can head on over to our Patreon. You can find the links for that in the show description and on our Twitter page at KermitmentPod. If you want to find out the information, I believe it is patreon.com/Kermitment. But if that's not right, we'll share the right links elsewhere.
And this will go to help us with hosting, with our Libsyn subscription, stuff like that. So if you want to support us, that is amazing. And if you just want to listen to the show, that's also amazing. We love you all equally.
And yeah, like Sam said, podcasts, they are usually free and cheap to start, but to consistently keep going for at least a year, the money starts to add up. And still, yeah, just, for $4 a month, you can help us out with some of those. But getting into this week's episode, Sam, looking back over the past year of discussing Muppets, I have to wonder, have you learned anything? Are there any lessons you've learned? Any regrets you have about the first year of talking about Muppets?
I think one of my only regrets is not even me, and something I probably said before, is that we couldn't watch more Sam and Friends, because I do think we missed a lot of stuff there, and I think we fucked up Sesame Street, how we handled Sesame Street,
because we just decided to not watch it and then watch all of it at once.
Yeah, and then it turned out, actually, this is extremely important.
Yeah, and I think going forward, we will probably change up how we are covering Sesame Street a little bit. We're not going to wait until the end of the 80s to talk about Sesame Street again. So we'll probably be talking about Sesame Street a bit more in the middle of other episodes. Yeah, I think for me, listening back to our very first episode, there are some legitimate podcast regrets of how many times we use the words voice actors instead of performers.
We were young then.
Yeah, we didn't, we use the word performer and voice actor pretty much interchangeably when talking about puppeteers early on. And I don't think it lasted very long. I think we corrected our ways. But, if anyone goes back to listen to episode 1 of Kermitment, they're going to be like, who are these chumps?
Well, now I feel like we just say Frank or Jerry or whatever.
Yeah, our old pals.
Yeah.
And I also think early on we were maybe more critical of certain voices or performances at different times.
Like whose?
I don't know. I just feel like there's some conversations we've had where maybe we're trying to lean into a little bit more of we got to have something to say about this, but we don't really feel that strongly about it. Well then, Sam, it is time to get into what we talked about this week.
I didn't know how to do this, so I'm just going to reread the first synopsis I ever wrote.
Oh, interesting.
Feel free to interject, Matt, as much as you want.
This will be you're reading a script that you previously performed. So it's going to be,
yeah.
We can link these up side by side and hear the two Sams.
Oh my God. That's a good idea. We join the Muppets at Worldwide Studios, a film studio, where they are all about to enjoy a test screening of The Muppet Movie. The movie is, according to Kermit, an approximation of how the Muppets met. The film rolls. Kermit the Frog is a simple frog living in the swamps, but he yearns for more. One day, he's just sort of doing his thing, playing the banjo, when a Hollywood agent drifts by on a boat and tells Kermit that Hollywood needs frogs. So Kermit busts out his bike and heads west. Along the way, he meets Fozzie Bear, who's a hack comedian working at a seedy nightclub. Fozzie agrees to go with Kermit to Hollywood in his uncle's Studebaker. But the road to Hollywood isn't just filled with friendly faces. Kermit catches the attention of Doc Hopper, the owner of a floundering frog-leg fast food joint, who's desperate to have Kermit as his new mascot. What unfolds is basically an extremely slow chase movie as Kermit and Fozzie make their way across the country, picking up Gonzo, Camilla, Miss Piggy, and Rolf along the way, and finding themselves besieged by Doc Hopper and his increasingly unhinged schemes. Eventually, with a little help from Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, and Dr. Honeydew and Beaker, they scare off Hopper once and for all and get to Hollywood. There, they go to Worldwide Studios, where powerful producer Lou Lord gives them the standard rich and famous contract, and they set out to make their creative dreams come true. The end. Back in the real world of the Muppet Movie screening, all the Muppets get up to their normal shenanigans as the credits roll. And then, I guess last time I didn't write anything about Muppets Go to Hollywood, so I'm just going to wing it again. Like a month before the movie came out, there was a TV special called Muppets Go to Hollywood. Is that what it was called? Or was it called The Muppets Go Hollywood?
It is called The Muppets Go Hollywood.
This is more of your standard Muppet Show kind of situation. The Muppets are in LA. They've invited all of their famous friends for a big gala ball to celebrate them. They put on little acts. They sing little songs just like they do. Dick Van Dyke and Rita Moreno interview other celebrities. And then that's pretty much it. At the end, they have to sweep up the joint because they got a break on the Coconut Grove as long as they promised to clean up after the party was over.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We can talk about it in more detail here in a minute. But yeah, the main thought I had this time was the Muppet Movie feels like even more of a miracle that it got made watching
Uh-huh.
it after we've watched everything leading up to it at this point. Like,
What do you mean?
the fact that it is what it is, because it's so weird and so different from the Muppet
Yeah.
Show and everything else that they've done, it just feels so much weirder to watch it now. To like, it doesn't have anything to do with the Muppet Show really. So the
No.
idea that they were like, okay, we need to make a movie, and it's so incredibly different from anything they've ever done, is just I don't know. It's extremely surprising. And I'm sure
Yeah.
there was a lot of conversation at the time of just like, yeah, the Muppets are making a movie. It's not at all what you expect.
This time also, like, I kind of let my brain be like, okay, this is just like an Elseworlds Muppet thing, just like Muppets Take Manhattan or The Great Muppet Caper is. Like, these Muppets are not necessarily the Muppets that you know. But I think almost if you think of it that way, like the framing device was a mistake or something. That's the part where things get too weird for me. Because this time I was trying not to be like, oh, this doesn't fit in with any of the established, respected Muppet canon. But God, it just really doesn't. I just feel like if I had gone to it, I would have been annoyed by this movie. I would have been like, that wasn't what I wished it would be, is the feeling I had the whole time watching it this time.
I don't know. I feel like it's a departure, obviously, but to me, I think it's so incredibly joyful, and they do so many new, exciting things that they hadn't done before that my nerdy brain may have been
That's
excited
true.
to be like, holy shit, he's on a bike!
The weirdest thing to me about the movie now is the like inspirational, like life's like a movie angle to it, because that does not exist in other Muppet stuff, really. I feel like there are some inspirational numbers on the Muppet Show, like the Harry Belafonte episode. Maybe that had like a profound impact on Jim or something, but that was after the Muppet movie was made, right? was
That's
it?
around the same time.
Okay. Cause like I don't feel inspired when I watch the Muppet Show. I feel like Kermit's mean and they're all mean and a bunch of losers. And they're besides the odd thing or like Sesame Street, they don't make a lot of like believe in yourself kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden in this, the whole theme is like believe in yourself. And I think I was expecting more of a buildup of that through early Muppet stuff than there was.
Yeah, this idea of making millions of people happy is obviously sort of inside of Jim Henson's head is the reason he's doing a lot of what he's doing.
Yeah.
But is not in his work, like you said. And I think we do have a number of sincere, heartfelt moments in the Muppet Show that pop up. I actually feel like we had less in season 3 than we had in some past
there were
seasons.
less Make a Muppet Feel Better group songs,
Yeah.
for sure.
But I feel like it is kind of weird to think about now of like, usually, we see Kermit kind of being the jerk boss. And this is almost like his origin story of like, we're seeing a nice, sweet Kermit who wants his friends to be great. And then we're seeing the jerk Kermit on the Muppet Show. And it's like, oh man, what happened?
Yeah, why'd you turn into a jerk again?
Yeah.
There is almost like that moment when he's out in the desert too, and he's like, I never promised them anything. And then his subconscious has to be like, dude, don't be a fucking asshole. But then he forgot not to be an asshole.
Well, a lot of that too is like interesting because obviously Jim Henson didn't write these movies. Jerry Jewell and Jack Burns wrote the Muppet Movie. But there are things in there that we've talked about in the past line up with Jim Henson's life, whether it's like working in commercials early on and trying to make it in Hollywood and all this stuff. And that's another one where I feel like it ends up being a theme in many, many Muppet productions is Kermit is both asking for all of the responsibility, but then realizes at a certain point that like, fuck, I don't want all this responsibility. Why are you all depending on me? Get away from me. And that's seen most clearly in The Muppets Take Manhattan. But it just is a running theme of, and I guess the Muppet Show is just sort of Kermit being pushed over the edge a little bit.
Yeah, there's a natural buildup to it in the Muppet Show where it's like he's at work and everybody's like, I need this. And there's like a thing that they need to be doing.
Yeah. But before we talk more about the Muppet Movie, let's talk about the thing that happened before the Muppet Movie. And that's Muppets Go Hollywood, the special that's sort of hosted by Dick Van Dyke and Rita Moreno. But they call themselves the tour guides, and that Kermit is the host. But we really only see him do hosting things like once.
Times.
Yeah.
The whole thing kind of feels like they weren't quite sure what they were doing.
Yeah.
There's some interesting editing choices throughout this special.
Well, I was thinking about that because clearly they threw an actual big party featuring a bunch of huge famous celebrities to show them the Muppet Movie conceivably and also just put on a performance for them.
Yeah, I think it was like to show the Muppet monsters dancing and maybe have an Electric Teeth, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem performance, and probably and like to sing Never Before, Never Again. I feel like all that stuff they actually saw.
Yes, but there's definitely some things in here like Statler and Waldorf things that I'm pretty sure were just filmed.
I think they're in front of a green screen.
Yeah, or something. It feels like they
Yeah.
weren't shot necessarily at the Coconut Grove when everyone else was there. And there are definitely some shots during the conga line sequence that were filmed like on a blue screen or a green screen of the Muppets doing a conga line imposed on top of the humans doing a conga line.
Right.
But the special opens up at the red carpet situation where Dick Van Dyke is on the red carpet welcoming all the celebrities as they show up. Statler and Waldorf are the first Muppets to arrive, just as they are the first Muppets to speak in the Muppet movie. But they decide, to not stay and they leave, even though they do end up showing up at the show later.
Yeah.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem show up after that, but decide to keep going because they want to find cheaper parking.
Because they can't get out because they don't have legs.
Yes, that is the main issue. Miss Piggy, this is where, this is very clearly Miss Piggy is a star at this point.
Yeah.
She is coming into her own. The people are cheering for her. Obviously, they've been prompted to, but at the same time, people seem super stoked to see Miss Piggy at this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when celebrities are arriving, we get some interesting introductions for them. For one, we get the introduction of the very talented and very late Dom DeLuise with Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks.
Are they the first ones to show up?
They're like some of the earliest celebrities we see showing up, and for some reason they're called very late.
Why are they so late?
I don't know. Maybe this thing was supposed to start at noon, and everyone's just super late. But the announcer of this special, I was going to say Sir Gary Owens, but that's that's not right.
He's a red-blooded American man
from South Dakota. Gary Owens is the announcer for this thing. And Gary Owens is a voice actor in a lot of things that you would definitely recognize. He was the original Space Ghost. He was Powdered Toast Man on the Ren and Stimpy show.
Oh my God, he was?
Yeah, he was Blue Falcon.
He was Space Ghost and Blue Falcon?
Mm-hmm.
What if they ever met each other?
Well,
I mean, think of that.
Yeah, he was Space Ghost back before Space Ghost was funny. But yeah, basically he just had this.
Oh, he was Roger Ramjet?
Yeah.
This guy rules.
Yes, he has many, many amazing credits. And he just had this booming natural narrator voice that worked well for anything.
Kind of there's like a fun little goofiness to it too. Like he's almost making fun of people who sound like that.
Yes, it reminds me of like when Jerry Nelson is like an announcer on the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
But he is the one he is both there in person introducing some acts, but he's also narrating this thing. And I believe he is the one who calls out Dom DeLuise for being late.
Yeah.
They apparently remodeled the Coconut Grove for this event.
What the hell?
Because
was it like past its prime or something?
Yeah, which is another.
I mean, it was obviously past its prime, but was it like a dump before this?
Yep. So it turns out the Coconut Grove, and this will be a theme during a couple things I have written down about this episode. Coconut Grove in its heyday was like, the 40s, the 30s, 50s, whatever, was when it was really thriving. Then
the golden age of Hollywood.
Yeah, and then in like the 60s or maybe early 70s, it was really in the dumps. It sucked. Nobody was going there. And so Sammy Davis Jr. bought it to remodel it and like turned it into a nightclub that was not the Coconut Grove anymore. Like it lost all of its like sort of Hollywood, like prime Hollywood golden age touch to it.
Uh-huh.
And then that didn't work either. So they bailed on that.
Oh.
And then so this was in a period of time where the Coconut Grove was basically doing whatever they could to make money. So anyone could film there. They would use it for whatever. They would rent it out for like, wedding receptions, whatever. And so this was really a time when the Coconut Grove was not thriving. Like anything you read about the Coconut Grove during the 70s and 80s was that it was in rough shape. And then eventually it was demolished. But yeah, this was not.
Since then it was demolished. It wasn't like demolished and rebuilt or something.
No.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's very interesting. We talk often about how the Muppets are sort of this throwback to a different age. And I think both the Muppet Movie and the Muppets Go Hollywood are sort of falling in that time with a lot of reverence towards Hollywood. But at the time, Hollywood was a shithole. Like most of the clubs were like broken down and shitty. I noticed in the Muppet Movie, they show the Hollywood sign near the end when they finally get to Hollywood. And there's some stuff hanging off of it, like some tarps and stuff. And so I was wondering about that. So I typed in, to Google, Hollywood sign 1978. Turns out that is a shot of the very newly remodeled Hollywood sign just after the new one had been displayed, because in mid-1978, it was falling down.
It looked like shit. Like the O had fallen down, and it just looks horrible.
Parts of it had fallen down the mountain. Parts of it were lit on fire by people. It was absolute garbage. And so Hugh Hefner apparently held a fundraiser to raise money to basically sell letters. Like Alice Cooper, I think, paid for the O or something like that.
Yeah,
And,
that's what it says on Wikipedia.
So it's interesting to, like, I don't know when that shot would have been shot, because in the time period when they were filming the Muppet movie, that is the time period where both the Hollywood sign was completely broken or when it was taken down for repairs. So they would have had to get that shot like at the very end of production.
It also really makes sense that the Muppets would rent such a bad place that nobody wanted to go.
True, but I do feel like both the movie and the special are treating Hollywood as it was in the 50s.
Totally.
Hollywood is the place to be. It is more the idea of Hollywood rather than what Hollywood actually was at the time of this special. But like trying to put myself in the mindset of somebody who, again, was seeing this movie or this special in 1978, or even the celebrities going to this party in 1979, if you got an invite to go to the Coconut Grove in 1979, you might be like, oh, God,
Ew.
that dump? I haven't been there in 20 years. That place sucks. And they're like, no, we fixed it. We promise.
So they remodeled it for this special.
Apparently, yeah, that's what I
Who
read.
paid for it? Did Jim pay for it?
I mean, it doesn't look like it's that remodeled. Like, I don't think they did a lot of like structural work. I think they threw up some like black curtains and some palm trees, and they're like, yeah, pretty.
Huh.
So yeah, I think it's just it really lines up with how many times we've talked about the Muppets being sort of a throwback to a different era and how they're sort of unstuck in time in a lot of ways. And I think this is just another highlight of them longing for a Hollywood that has sort of passed. I put in my notes, which is what inspired this week's Muppet of the Week. Mean Mama is just one of the ugliest puppets. I
hate that they put her in that dress. And she's shown up in that dress a few other times. She was much better when she was just a naked kangaroo kind of lady.
Yeah, she's got this like torn up ball gown.
She looks like Taz.
She looks
does
look
Taz.
like Taz. Yeah.
Wow.
She's maybe Taz's mom.
Maybe she's Taz's mom.
But she has like this torn up ball gown on her, I guess, so that they're like, she's a lady.
Yeah. I think she was wearing something very similar when they met the Harlem Globetrotters. So.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, she's there, and I just think she's hideous.
Yeah, she sucks. Timmy Monster sucks. Like Dog Lion's great. I like Dog Lion. He has a line. He's spoken before, right?
I think so.
Yeah, when he's on that island, I'm pretty sure he spoke when they were on the desert island with some lady on the Muppet Show.
Yes.
I don't remember what that was all about. But he has a line in the Muppet Movie which kind of surprised me for a second, but then I was like, oh, okay, wait. He's talked before.
I think it's always sort of weird when a character who doesn't really have a consistent performer gets a line, because that establishes what their voice sounds like in that moment. And then in a different performance later on, we'll hear a completely different voice coming out of that person. So it's like, okay.
Yeah,
that happens with Mean Mama a lot, which we'll talk about more later, that there's like 8 people who have performed Mean Mama through the years, so she always kind of sounds different or acts a little different than she has previously.
But I think all the Muppet Monsters pale in comparison to Sweetums, to the point where I don't think they should even include Sweetums in that group. I'd rather they just sub him out for Thog, because he at least looks like shit like the rest of them do.
There's a couple awkward moments in the Muppets Go Hollywood that we've talked about a little bit previously, where Dick Van Dyke or Rita Moreno will sit down with a celebrity, seemingly unplanned, to ask them some questions. One moment is Rita Moreno sits down with Robert Stack, who you might know from Unsolved Mysteries, to ask him about Miss Piggy's...
oh, that's who that is.
Yeah.
I could not place that person.
And these are usually just setups for a pre-taped interview segment. But clearly these parts were not planned out, because she asked Robert Stack about Miss Piggy's inaccessibility, and all he basically says is that she's super sexy, and he wants her. And it's like, whoa,
I'm one
okay.
of her biggest fans.
Yeah.
She should know and make herself available to the public.
Yeah, Robert Stack wants to have sex with Miss Piggy.
It seems like it was going around back then, you know?
And then the other one is one that we definitely talked about in the first episode, where Dick Van Dyke sits down to talk to Peter Falk. And he's like, can you imagine what it was like to be here in the 30s? And he's like, no, I can't.
Funny. Nope. Okay.
Play this game with me, Peter. Come on.
Those are bad, though. And the interviews that they're setting up are also bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's like, Dick Van Dyke's like, oh, I'd never do stand-up comedy. But I did it once, and I was kind of like Fozzie Bear. And then it cuts to Fozzie Bear. It's like, no. And then they're like POV, and it's Dick Van Dyke and Rita Moreno like narrating this conversation they're having with Piggy and Fozzie.
Yeah, they clearly.
And the little skits are fine, but the setup is so sweaty that it's like, just you could have had somebody else do the. I don't know.
Yeah, they clearly pre-taped these fake interviews with Piggy at the poolside and Fozzie at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. And clearly Rita Moreno and Dick Van Dyke had to record their
they did not go to.
No, they were recording their questions later. So it was a very oddly conceived idea. But yes, the little sketches themselves are fine. In Miss Piggy's, we have her receiving a bunch of calls from Frank Sinatra and some other people that turns out to be Scooter at the payphone around the corner. And yeah, I like the Fozzie one a little bit better because he's brought his own quick dry cement to Grauman's Chinese Theater to put his paw prints into the cement outside of the Chinese Theater. And
that people keep confusing him with Rolf, I found delightful still. I think I liked that the first time.
Well, they mistake him for Rolf at the red carpet. Here, they mistake him for Smokey the Bear.
For Smokey Bear, yeah.
Because some guy walks up, he's like, "Hey, man, I love you. I love the bear, man. It's
You
the bear.
changed my life." Yeah.
Yeah, because of you, I'll never start a forest fire.
Yeah, what the fuck? Maybe people in the 70s are just having fun setting forests on fire.
I mean, somebody lit the
know.
Hollywood sign on fire, so maybe.
That's true.
A couple things throughout this that are less enjoyable is we have Animal just being a downright predator, chasing and slapping women on the ass, and
really going to town on asses in this one.
A lot of asses. I mean, it is like the height of his face, so I guess that's all he is seeing.
It's true.
But yeah, it is. It is a running theme.
It'd be rough to be a Muppet walking around with all these asses in your face.
Unless you're Animal, who prefers that sort of lifestyle.
Then you love it. Yeah.
I also love there's a moment here where Zoot is sitting in with the band, just,
I like that too.
They don't make any big deal out of it. He's just there.
That's the kind of thing I feel like the whole time I was trying to figure out, my producer brain was like, how did they do this? What are they doing exactly? Like, what did they come into this hoping to do? Where were the places where they were just like, okay, we just need a hard cut here because this didn't work out like I thought it was going to. But I like the idea of going to a party like this and there just being like little moments where the Muppets are integrated into different like normal party events. Like Kermit is just sitting there like talking to you and Zoot's like up there and the Electric Mayhem come out and play. That would be fun. And it probably was really fun.
See, I had my notes. The logistics seem like they would be annoying for everyone who isn't performing a Muppet.
Yeah, that too. It's like, don't look at this person on his knees scooting around on the ground pretending to dance with you. Like, this is just a fun party. Please pretend to have fun. But I bet they pulled it off in a way where it wasn't too intrusive.
Yeah.
Except for poor Columbo and Robert Stack.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Stack seemed all right with having that conversation. He's been like dying to have the conversation about having sex with Miss Piggy for a while.
Yeah.
This is the only outlet. There was a thing we did not talk about in the first episode where we talked about this special that I think is worth noting. Miss Piggy does a performance of Babyface.
Yeah.
Where she is carried in on this big, I don't know what they call them, like a Cleopatra style.
The big Cleopatra thing.
Yeah, the big like bed, essentially carried in by 4 giant muscly men.
They kept saying it in Book of Boba Fett, what that thing was called. Remember that?
I do not. That was not one of the details I picked up on.
Because Jabba gets carried around on one, and those twins get carried around on one, and they kept saying, like, you're not going to go into town on a blank?
Oh, I don't remember.
One of those from Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, if that helps your context. It's the big thing that Jabba gets carried on.
Yeah.
But yes, the most fascinating thing about this is it's another one of those, how did they do that moments?
Yeah.
Because when you think about it for a second, you realize Frank Oz must be just laying in this little coffin-like box on his back with his arm shoved up through the top of it while 4 big muscly men carry him around in his coffin. And Frank just has to be extremely trusting that these men are not going to drop him.
Oh, that would hurt. But they're not. They're strong. And he's just one little Weasley dude. How much could Frank Oz weigh?
Felt like the setup for a joke, even though I knew it wasn't.
If you have a punchline, write us in.
Yeah, the Kermitment Joke of the Week, new segment starting now. But yeah, I thought that was one of those interesting how did they do that type moments, because we see Kermit on a bike and we see full body Muppets dancing around during the Muppet movie. But it's worth noting that I think that we see just a piggy being carried around on a bed. That is not a thing that immediately is clear how they're doing it.
It didn't even strike me that it was not just Piggy being carried around on a bed until you said that.
Yeah.
Because she's very real. She's real to me.
Then we get the delightful performance of Rolf and Johnny Mathis.
Man, I would have loved to see this.
Never Before, Never Again, which found out listening to the Moving Right Along podcast. Originally, the plan for Never Before, Never Again, when it was written by Paul Williams and Kenny Escher, was to have it performed by Frank Sinatra in the Muppet Movie.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the original plan for that song. It was not going to be Miss Piggy singing. It was going to be Frank Sinatra. And then they couldn't get Sinatra, so they got Johnny Mathis. And Johnny Mathis apparently recorded a version of Never Before, Never Again for the movie. But Frank Oz was like, it would be funny if Piggy sang it in a delightfully high falsetto voice.
Then he was exactly right.
Yes. But apparently this was maybe sort of them making it up to Johnny Mathis for not using his song in the movie.
I was going to say, I wonder if he even knew he had been cut out of the movie yet.
He was like, I'm going to go sing my big song from the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Just you guys wait until you see me up on the big screen singing to Miss Piggy.
I think that they definitely made the right choice there, because Miss Piggy singing it only gets funnier every time, and that used to be one of my least favorite parts of the movie.
Same.
But now, after seeing, just being so entrenched in Miss Piggy and Frank Oz, it's like, I understand all of the genius behind this.
There's also a delightful moment during that live performance where they show Kermit and Piggy sort of cuddled up in the audience watching it.
Yeah.
Which again, confuses canon stuff even more when you try to think about okay, are Miss Piggy and Kermit
hate her or not?
Yeah. And I think as many people have often said, the only real version of Muppets is what you see on talk shows. That's the only real version of any of these characters we ever get to see, because otherwise they're always performing. And I feel like this is close enough to a talk show that this seems like the real version of the Muppets at this event.
Yes. This is the multiversal theory I was writing down as I was watching this movie. Starting at the Muppet Show, there is a fork in reality.
Oh, okay.
There's one fork where the Muppet Show is real, and there's one fork where the Muppet Show is a TV show that they know that they're making. So there's one where they're on a vaudeville stage actually performing vaudeville acts. That's the universe where Kermit lives in New York, Sesame Street is real. Or the Muppet TV show, the more recent one, that also takes place in this universe, I feel like, where the Muppet Show is real. Then there's a side universe where
you got some big Charlie Day in front of the pegboard meme now energy going on, where you're trying to solve the unsolvable, Sam.
Where the Muppets Take Manhattan takes place. That one also is the same universe as Muppet Family Christmas.
Oh.
Then there's another universe where the Muppet Movie is real, and that's one that takes place in that Christmas special where Doc Hopper's is a real place,
Okay, so how do you explain Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island?
Those take place in the universe where they're just making movies, and they're real.
So which one do we live in?
We live in a different universe.
Oh, no, Sam.
We live in the different universe where they're not real, and we witness all of these different universes. But it all hinges on if the Muppet Show is real or not.
And Muppet Babies?
Muppet Babies takes place in the one where Muppet Show... No, that one takes place in the Muppets Take Manhattan universe, because they're babies, and they've known each other their whole lives.
Yeah.
If they've known each other their whole lives, it's Muppets Take Manhattan universe.
Okay. I can't wait for that to be immediately disproven by something we watch in the next 3 weeks or something.
I know. It will be, for sure. Great Muppet Caper also is one where they're just making a movie. Because at the beginning they sing, we're making a movie.
That's true. And Fozzie and Kermit are brothers, which you would have to open up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, that's too hard to figure out.
Well, do you have any thoughts left on the Muppets Go Hollywood before we move on to talking about the Muppet Movie a little bit more?
I liked parts of Muppets Go Hollywood a little bit more because it was fun to see them invite so many people who were on the Muppet Show. And also Christopher Reeve, who I know behind the scenes for some reason is already friends with them and hung out on set with them for some reason before even making his episode. So it's just cute to see everybody there. I wish Jimmy Dean had been there still. I think that would have been a knockout. There's so much of it this time that felt so contrived to me that I think when we watched it first, I was just like, whoa, this is a thing I've never seen before. And now it's kind of like, this is weird.
Yeah. I think there are sweet moments throughout, but I think
Mhm.
it is very clearly made by people who don't make Muppets things. Like the director of this
Yeah.
was a guy who just directed TV specials, sort of
Uh-huh.
similar to things like this. And so I think it shows that this doesn't quite have that Muppet polish to it, where it feels like a TV special that they kind of threw some Muppets into here and there. But it sort of feels like they're probably running around with like chickens with their heads cut off to be like, I don't know, where do we like? We need to film something with Piggy. Let's go over here. Let's do a quick unscripted moment that doesn't go anywhere, and then we'll move on.
And it does depend on a lot of unscripted things. I feel like that Jim obviously is not the best at, but Piggy is good at all the time. Frank is good at all the time. The one part that does work really well for me, that does feel very Muppety, is when they have to sweep up at the end. I really like that. That is a great punchline to this whole thing.
Well, and at one point, Kermit is talking to Dick Van Dyke about that they're not staying in Hollywood. They're staying at like a motor lodge, like outside of
that's good
Hollywood,
too.
where they accept livestock.
Yeah.
I also really like there's a
And-
small moment where Miss Piggy is dancing with Charles Durning, who plays Doc Hopper in the Muppet movie.
Oh yeah.
And they're like doing a nice little slow dance, and Christopher Reeve tries to cut in, and they like,
yeah.
nope, no thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet too.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that the first time that was Doc Hopper she was dancing with.
Yeah.
But I love Kermit picking up dishes and like trying to bust those tables. It's just so funny.
Yeah, because that makes total sense that like if the Muppets were going to get to have some big celebration like this, there would have to be some sort of deal cut. They didn't just have the money to throw at this kind of thing. Like they're going to have to work for it.
Yeah. I think something I bristled at before a little bit when we first time we watched it was the idea that they were like lovable losers because they were like huge world stars. But I do feel like Jim kind of earned the like, we're kind of underdogs because it took them so long to get to this point. I think it's probably okay for them to be a little bit like, yeah, people are still shitting on us, sort of. We're just dumb puppets.
Well, and I also still prefer when we have the puppets who are the losers rather than like now when they show up in so many things that people hold them up on this pedestal. That it's less fun to watch when everyone is just like bowing to everything they say now.
Yeah. And I'd rather have that too than like Kermit like being lonely in his mansion like he is in the newer Muppet movie. It's like that doesn't feel right either. Just being scrappy. That's the mode that works best for them.
Yeah. It is also interesting to realize that the Muppets Go Hollywood was like exactly 11 years before Jim Henson's death. And so
was it the day he died that it came out?
Yeah, it came out initially on May 16th, 1979, which is exactly 11 years to the day before Jim Henson dies. And
what the hell?
One, a weird coincidence, but two, it also made me realize that we're only 11 years away from the end of Jim Henson Muppet content in our podcast. And we've already watched like 20 some years. So we're about 2/3 of the way through Jim Henson's career with the Muppets. So moving on to the Muppet Movie, which came out on June 22nd, 1979. One thing worth noting that apparently in 1979, there was a movement called Campo, which was the Campaign to Award Miss Piggy an Oscar, where apparently over 30,000 people sent in letters and petitioned the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to consider Miss Piggy for Best Actress.
It's not too late. We could still give her a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, they did disqualify her because she was a puppet.
Well, okay.
So I don't think they're going to give her a Lifetime Achievement Award either.
Frank Oz should have a Lifetime Achievement Award. Does he?
I mean, not from the Oscars, I don't think.
He should have one. I feel like he should have one. He made What About Bob? And he was Piggy. And he was Yoda. Those three things qualify you for this.
I mean, you can write some new petitions, the Academy.
I think I really actually might. I don't think you can be Yoda and not have a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm sorry.
You might want to leave What About Bob out of the conversation.
I won't. I'm going to sneak it in there. It's a good movie.
A couple more things I learned from listening to the Moving Right Along podcast. The original script for this movie and for this moment featured the opening shot of the movie within the movie, starting on a galaxy and then moving into a solar system and then traveling to Earth and then slowly zooming in on the swamp.
Wow.
Trying to make it seem like it was one long continuous zoom in.
It's like the beginning of like that unproduced Dune screenplay, you know, where I think it's supposed to start like outside of the galaxy and zoom into Dune, like,
And that's what this
into
is
an
supposed to
atom or
do,
something like
apparently,
that. Yeah,
in the original
equally
one.
grand.
Yeah. Which is just, wild.
Not necessary.
No, not at all.
I think starting on a rainbow and then zooming into Kermit is fine.
Yeah, and I found this time I took less notes as I was watching because I was just sort of like trying to enjoy it and think back to what did I think about this movie a year ago.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like sort of the beginning of this movie, watching it again, how did you feel as you started it?
I think this viewing of the Muppet Movie, I liked it less than I've ever liked it before.
That's interesting.
I think I've just seen it too many times. This is probably the movie I've seen the most times of any movie. I would say probably by a long shot. So I didn't feel or learn anything in particular, except I just realized who the lady who says yes is. The lisp lady.
Oh, yeah.
Grandma Adams herself.
Well, and also from Princess Bride and Scrooged and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
I think she's also only Grandma Adams in one of the Addams Family movies.
Yeah, she's in the second one.
Yeah.
The good Addams Family movie.
Wow.
Not the bad one.
Wow.
I don't know. Up until he meets Fozzie, the movie just kind of washes over me. Dom DeLuise is great, but otherwise, Kermit ain't nothing without a crew to bounce off of.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting the way they roll out introductions throughout the movie because we don't see, and I'm talking about the movie within the movie here.
Yeah.
We don't see any other Muppets until Kermit meets Fozzie.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, that was also, again, different in the original script. There was apparently some Muppet named Fred who lived at the swamp with Kermit that he would interact with. There was
Okay.
a Muppet pig that was going to be driving down the road before he even met Fozzie. There are lots of scenes cut from the original script of this that I think they made the right choices in most of them.
Yeah. It could have been fun to see a world, like a living world where Muppets were out in it more.
That's a dangerous, line to walk there because, you go so far, then you got Happy Time murders.
You don't want to do a Happy Time murder.
Yeah, you go too far in the direction of puppets and people coexisting, and you just get Happy Time murders.
And they do treat them as just like, this is a frog, an animal, the frog walking around. This is not any kind of special frog. This is just a regular frog.
I mean, they are, happily surprised at finding a frog who could be a spokesperson
Who
for
can
Doc
like dance and
Hoppers.
sing.
But they are
Yeah.
not like, holy shit, guys, we found the first frog who can talk and sing
Yeah.
and dance.
Yeah. It does seem like they know that bears can talk and sing and dance, and that is not weird. And pigs can talk and sing and dance, and that is not weird either.
That's true. Nobody seems to have a problem with these animals who can do more than the average animal. But
No.
they do seem, rare, at least.
I guess so. The pig, like, if you look at the Muppet Show, and even the beginning of this before the movie starts, I like that Miss Piggy's like surrounded by like pig sycophants, sort of. But it does seem like maybe the pig population of Earth is equal to the human population of Earth. Like we just live alongside the pigs.
But again, are there real pigs in this universe, or is every pig a Muppet pig?
Well, they talk about eating Miss Piggy, so I do think every pig is eatable at very least. Take that as you will.
I also, as far as like introducing Muppets go and your canon, what's real, what's not sort of storylines, and obviously, most of the canon is broken in Muppet worlds, and obviously Kermit says this movie is approximately how the Muppets met.
Yeah.
But some of it just downright doesn't make much sense when you compare it to the Muppet Show.
Right.
Because
that's why Robin's question doesn't make sense. Okay, you go ahead. Then I'll tell you more about my Robin breaking the universe thing.
Well, so Scooter is the one who breaks the universe for me this time.
Totally.
Because Scooter, we meet as the band manager of the Electric Mayhem. He is painting their church-turned-future coffee shop in the Muppet movie. And
extremely underrated set, I feel like. That church where the walls go boom, boom, boom. This time I was looking at that the whole time and I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, no, the church is essentially like alive and dancing to the beat of the music. And it's, when you think about that for a second, that Scooter in the Muppet Show is like a 14-year-old kid whose uncle got him the job at the theater.
Yeah, they just met him.
Yeah, that's a very different origin story from finding him on the road trip and he's already working for the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, I think you can assume that the question Robin is asking is this how the Muppets really met? At this point, the only thing the Muppets have done is make the Muppet Movie, because that's basically what they're doing at the end of the Muppet Movie, is they're making the Muppet Movie. So, in the world where the Muppet Show is not real, the Muppet Show might not even exist. And in that world, Scooter is the Electric Mayhem's manager. You can assume that the events of the Muppet movie basically happened as you see them. Completely separate, split universe from the Muppet movie.
I choose to live in the world where none of it is real. Like, everything is an act.
Okay.
Like,
If you had to pick one that was real, though, which one would you rather be real?
See, I like when they go on talk shows and talk about things they've done in the past. So for me, I do like the idea that anything that is a talk show is the real Muppets, as if they are just actors. And in anything we've ever seen from them as far as the Muppet Show, the Muppet Movie, the Muppet Cape, like all of those are performances.
Okay.
And so when Kermit talks about his romance with Miss Piggy being purely on the screen,
that's accurate.
right?
Yes.
And so that's why I tend to buy that one as being the closest to true.
They are drifting a little closer together. Fate is bringing them together.
Well, and there's also the thing
all
of like
multiverses.
These characters do have a past. Like these characters have worked together for a very long time, and sometimes they will reference that in, they'll refer to Rolf used to work with Jimmy Dean. They'll reference that, and so it's like, okay, we know that is true, and we saw that happen, and so where does that break down? Like, or are these things that they're creating based on what really happened? So I think along with sort of what you were just saying about how the events in the Muppet movie kind of sort of happened elsewhere at a different time. We are not watching them happen, but they recreated it for a movie. And then maybe they went on to make the Muppet Show. And for the Muppet Show, they changed the story, that line there. Yeah. Of like, Scooter, this time you're going to play a 14-year-old boy whose uncle owns the theater, okay? He's like, okay, whatever, weird, but okay.
I'm a 35-year-old man, but
yeah,
that's fine.
So, yeah, I think it's easier for our brains and for trying to funnel these all into a category to just accept that none of it will ever make sense.
I would rather live in the world where the Muppet Show is real because I desperately want to go sit in the Muppet Theater and watch the Muppet Show and like be walking around New York and see like Kermit on the subway like, oh, okay, going back to Sesame Street. I'm going to listen to the Count's show for the 800th day in a row. It's the only show that's on there. But I love the like New York's full of Muppets universe. That's the one that I'd rather live in.
I do sort of like the Roger Rabbit version of that world where like Muppets or puppets in general are just seen as part of that. I don't like the way it's been done in some media, but
Happy Time.
That's the one I was referring to. But I do like that as much as I don't like how the Muppets are revered when they're on things these days and everyone's like, oh my God, it's fucking Kermit the Frog, amazing.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that Kermit is just somebody around town that people know.
That's always fun when it's just like, oh yeah, I saw you at that party the other weekend, Kermit.
That's some of the things I really do like about the ABC series is how often other celebrities are just like, oh, hey, man, Pepe, how's it going? I just saw you the other night. And like them having friendships with other celebrities makes sense to me. Yeah. But them not being the most successful, famous people who have ever existed.
So, the El Ciso Cafe is basically where we are now. I honestly didn't believe you when you said that Waka Waka was first said at the El Ciso Cafe.
Yeah, but he also says it 1,000 times at the El Ciso Cafe. So it's fair to assume that, man, this must have been an established thing because he says it forever. In like this entire scene is just him saying Waka Waka pretty much.
But the whole time I was picturing Frank Oz saying Waka Waka for the first time and just being like, boom, head explodes. He's like, this is the key to Fozzie. I've found it. And then at the end when they're making the movie before the soundstage explodes and Fozzie looks at the camera and goes, Waka Waka, that I feel like is Frank saying, get used to this, folks.
It's never going to stop. You're going to hear it until like Fozzie dies, not just I die or the next performer dies. Until Fozzie is killed off on screen, you're going to hear Waka Waka after every joke this bear ever makes.
The puppet burns, any like patterns to make the puppet burn.
Yeah.
The institutional memory of Fozzie, gone forever. Every appearance of him is gone. That's the last time you'll hear Waka Waka, not a moment sooner.
And like, yeah, we won't hear it really on the Muppet Show after this, which is weirder. Like, he'll only say it like once on the Muppet.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't even become a thing immediately.
How did this happen?
Yeah, I'm very curious to start seeing those moments when we start noticing him just saying it every time he's on camera.
That's so weird.
Because right now we're still not quite there, even though it feels like, like you said, you didn't believe me when I told you that the first time.
Yeah. Well, it'd be funny to go back in time to like 1977 and be like, "Oh, Fozzie Bear, Waka Waka," and the person would be like, "What? Waka? What? What are you talking about?" And the person could have a Fozzie Bear shirt on, and they'd be the biggest Fozzie Bear fan in the world. You'd be like, "Oh, your kids are gonna love it."
It's worth noting that Frank Oz gets to say Waka Waka in a couple different ways in that scene as well, because Frank Oz has a cameo as the biker who throws Fozzie the Bear across the bar. And before he throws him, he goes, Waka Waka.
He does?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. He has an angry biker voice version of a Waka Waka that he lets out before he throws him. This is the first time I thought about when Rolf and Kermit are duetting. Who's puppeting Rolf here?
They're both very good.
Yeah. Like
I was watching the same thing too. Like this is moving like Rolf, this is moving like Kermit.
Yeah, I feel like usually when
superimpose them together, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like there are times in this movie specifically where Miss Piggy and Fozzie are in the same scene. And I noticed that Fozzie is being puppeteered by somebody else, I'm pretty sure.
He's very still.
He's very still, and his mouth is just hanging open randomly at times. And I'm like, okay, somebody else is doing Fozzie right now. But this was one where I was pretty convinced that, like, if you told me somehow they filmed this in split screen and Jim did both, but there are times where they're clearly in the same shot, not a special effect.
Oh, that's true. He walks up next to him at that one point at the end.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Frank.
Maybe. I was thinking that. Like, I was wondering, like, if Jim was going to trust somebody else to take over Ralph, give it to the guy who's been working the right hand for Ralph forever.
Yeah. And who knows that Ralph goes like this and makes his ears flop really cute.
Yeah. But this is the first time I really thought about the fact that, you know, those are both Jim singing to Jim, and obviously the music is pre-recorded and they're lip-syncing to that. But the actual puppet performance was very, very convincing that they were both Jim.
Yeah. So I think this movie picks up. I think El Ciso Cafe is good, but I think it really picks up at the Bogan County Fair all the way through to when Piggy gets abducted by the Nazi. Then it's bad. When that starts,
agree.
The chunk of meeting Miss Piggy's arc, the Miss Piggy arc from the fair to the kidnapping, it's like one of the greatest moments in any movie, I would say. Especially the restaurant scene is like one of my favorite comedy scenes ever, probably.
I also think it does successfully dig itself out of that hole created by the Mel Brooks Nazi scientist.
Yeah.
But it is harder to like get back to that peak after you've fallen so far.
Yeah, and especially like this time I was also thinking they should have introduced Snake Walker earlier, and Piggy could have beat up Snake Walker, a much scarier, cooler looking villain who I would love to see do something.
Yeah, it's like they keep throwing sort of like a rogues gallery at the Muppets that are inconsequential because like Doc Hopper's our main bad guy who wants to kill Kermit or just use him for commercial purposes.
Great movie villain.
Yeah, but then we get Snake Walker, we get Mel Brooks, evil German Nazi scientist. So it's like he just keeps throwing things at the problem. And Snake Walker is all right, but he doesn't get a lot of time to shine.
He doesn't do anything. He just gets scared by an animal.
Yeah, and just says, kill frog.
Yeah. What if Snake had shot one of those tridents right through Animal's head?
That's the thing I was thinking is like when they were like, kill him, get him. Like he could just like shoot immediately and like kill Kermit very, very quickly.
And all the other Muppets.
Yeah.
And then it would just be Beaker, Bunsen, and Animal. That would be the Muppets. Oh, no.
That'd be a horrible Muppet show.
Yeah, so boring.
It causes like this weird rift in time where we cut back to the theater at the end of the movie and just Bunsen, Beaker, and Animal are sitting there watching the movie.
Oh, yeah.
You die in the movie, you die in real life.
Yeah. Oh, no.
This time I was really just like looking for more and more like little details that I hadn't really paid attention to previously. And one of the ones I noticed this time is that when they catch back up with the Electric Mayhem and they're in their bus near the end of the movie, next to Dr. Teeth, who is driving the bus, there is a pin cushion, like one of those tomato pin cushions, just like next to him. But also a picture of Big Bird is on his little driving console.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I don't really know why he has a picture of Big Bird and a pin cushion, but he does.
He's friends with him because Big Bird not even famous yet, according to this fiction.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets his feathers from Big Bird. His big feathers.
Oh, for his hat?
Yeah.
And then he dyes them different colors?
Yeah.
I did
He and Big Bird have a deal arranged.
And they used him for his feathers and then just dropped him off on the side of the road. And that's when Kermit and Fozzie saw him.
Yeah. When that happened this time, Rachel was like, that's a child walking down the road all by
Yeah,
himself.
that is a 6-year-old walking from somewhere in the South, at least, to New York. Good luck, child.
Yeah. Where do you think they start in this? Where's Kermit's Swamp, would you say?
I mean, I always imagine Mississippi just because that's where
Jim's
that's
from.
where Jim is from. But it could be,
Yeah.
Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi. I think we talked last time that El Slizo feels like it's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But they also mentioned in Moving Right Along that they go to Rhode Island, they go to Saskatchewan.
Well, that's Fozzie's fault. Fozzie's fucking up.
But yeah, so it's really hard to figure out like where they would have met Big Bird because like they could have been in Pennsylvania at the time. They could have been in Washington State at the time.
Oh, that's true. That's right in the middle of... He could be really close to New York.
Yeah, he could just be walking from like Western New York to Manhattan. Like still not great for a 6-year-old, but better.
No. He's a big bird. He's got one of them claws, that they could like slit your throat with probably.
Oh, he's like a talon?
So-
Like it's not like
Yeah. Like the kill claw, like what the guy had, like what Dr. Grant has in the beginning of Jurassic Park.
that he holds up to
When
the
he's
little
like,
kid and he's like,
Cut you
"Gonna
from
gut
your belly button to your throat.
Your
That's
intestines spill out.
Big Bird is a velociraptor, okay? Nobody has the guts to say it, but it is true.
I mean, scientifically, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So we got Cookie Monster Raccoon, Big Bird
Yeah.
Velociraptor.
Yeah.
Get the fan art community
This is
on
the
that
gritty
one.
reboot American. Oh my god, I could see this being like in like 20 years it'd be like Sesame Street. I don't know, it'd just be like a realistic Sesame Street, and Gordon's walking down the street. Gordon's like down on his luck preschool teacher or like elementary teacher who can't get through to his kids, taking out the garbage, opens the lid. A blue raccoon pops up with googly eyes, and the crowd's like, Cookie Monster, yeah, Cookie Monster. And he's like, feed me trash, Gordon. And then he brings the raccoon to school for some reason. And he learns a new way to teach the kids.
And then Raptor Big Bird bursts in through the window and
Then
kills
in
him.
this map, I wasn't going to go into this map, but then there's another part where he's walking home and he hears like, grrr. And he's like, what's that? And then he like opens that weird door that Big Bird lives behind. And like under a bunch of newspapers and stuff, there's just a yellow velociraptor back there. And he seems scared. He seems mad, but he's really just scared. And Gordon makes friends with him. Then he brings the velociraptor to school too and teaches them all to count. Then he meets the count.
I was gonna say, then the teacher in the next room, who weirdly never goes out during the daytime, is like, ooh,
Yes.
a counting lesson. And then that
Yeah.
Velociraptor meets a nice big mammoth, and they get along swell. And
Uh-huh.
here's our
It's all
gritty
writes
reboot of
itself.
Sesame Street.
It writes itself.
I don't think they're gonna hire us for that movie that they said was coming out 2 years ago.
There's supposed to be a Sesame Street movie?
Yeah, Bo Burnham was gonna write
Huh.
it and write the music.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Right? And then he bailed on that because it was taking so long, and then COVID
Ah.
happened, and lots of things happened. And so I think it's technically supposed to come out this year, but there has not been anything said about it in
Yeah,
about a
but
year and a half or
they
2 years.
Haven't filmed or written it. So
I
that
don't think
seems
they have
tough.
filmed any of it. Yeah.
That seems rough.
Yes.
Well, Bo, if you need some ideas, feel free.
I
Have
don't
at
think
the
he's
ones I
working
just
on
laid
it
out.
anymore. I think he's maybe doing the music still, but I don't think he's writing the script anymore.
All right. Well, okay.
But yes,
He knows who to talk. He knows who to get my ideas in front of.
we've got mutual friends. We'll just be like, hey, can you get in contact with Bo Burnham and just send him this section of our podcast?
Yes, here's 2 minutes of incomprehensible garbage. Get this into Bo Burnham's hands now. And then I think Bogan County's in Arkansas, because I Googled Bogan County, and there was a movie called Escape from Bogan County, and it took place in Arkansas.
I could see that. I don't know what Elliot Gould is doing hanging out down in Arkansas, but
Is it weird that it's called Bogan County and Edgar Bergen is there? They should have just called it Bergen County.
I guess that
Pretty
would have.
close.
Well, then it would have been even weirder. That like, wait, is the county named after him?
They could have said our mayor and founder, Edgar Bergen.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sweet to see Edgar Bergen there, even though. you
Yeah,
know,
he dies immediately after filming that.
Yeah, just a
basically.
couple months after filming this scene, he would
Yeah.
die before the movie came out.
And Candace Bergen is in Muppets Go Hollywood.
She is, yeah. We see her
And her
there.
dad has probably just died at that point, or pretty recently, huh?
Well, I mean, yeah, just a few months before that.
Yeah. I wished also a lot this time that I could see this movie with an audience of people in the 70s.
Yeah, no, because I think I sent you the clip of Siskel and Ebert reviewing this
Yeah.
movie and
Mhm.
hearing people talk about this movie who saw it like the day it came out and just the things they are amazed by and the things they like about it. I'm like, man, we can never tap into that mindset of what it was like to see this in a theater with a bunch of people like laughing their asses off at Steve Martin's shorts. Like,
I love when everybody laughs about Steve Martin's shorts in that clip that they play on the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm. So it's clear that, like, it's like that thing where it's like whenever you watch something with an audience, certain things are always going to stand out as being funnier than they are just watching it on your couch at home. So, maybe our local theater will show the Muppet Movie soon and we can go watch it with some people, but it's still not quite the same experience as, time traveling back to 1979 or whatever.
Yeah. Do you still not like Steve Martin in this movie? Or do you like him in this movie okay?
I like him in this. I typically don't like Steve Martin in other things that much. And that's like nothing against him. It's just not for me. Like, I've never seen The Jerk. I've been told I probably wouldn't like it at this point.
Yeah.
But
don't see The Jerk.
Yeah. And yeah, I enjoy him in this. And I like that scene a lot. But yeah, I have no problem with Steve Martin in this. And most of the celebrity cameos, which we talked at length about last time, do I have a problem with, except for Mel Brooks.
Yeah, who just is the longest cameo and the worst one.
And so distracting. Like, I feel like he slows the movie down. He tries to steer it into a different direction. It just does not work for me.
Yeah, and if you can make Miss Piggy going hi-ya not fun or interesting, you've really messed up.
Another thing I noticed in this movie this time, at the very end, when they're setting up their set for the Muppet Movie they're making, and right as it all starts collapsing, Scooter, Beaker, and I believe Animal are sitting on top of the big fake rainbow they've constructed, and they absolutely eat it as that thing breaks and falls over. You see Scooter's body. You see Scooter's body just like hit the floor very hard, where they obviously just like threw the puppet to the floor and like filmed it. But he does pop right back up right afterwards, and he's already survived getting hit with a bowling ball on the Muppet Show, so he's resilient.
They don't have bones; they're fine.
But yeah, this was the first time I noticed, because when they begin that number, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some Muppets up there, there's other Muppets up there, and then as it starts to all fall down, I just see Scooter and like smash down onto the floor.
I came away from it this time also being very impressed with the Electric Mayhem. I feel like they really come into their own in this, and like Janice and Floyd's relationships kind of nailed down, and they all kind of have a little part to play, and Zoot even has a little part to play. And they get to be stars, and we haven't seen them a lot lately in the Muppet Show, and I've missed them.
Yeah, especially like we'll see Floyd more than anyone else usually, or Animal pops up for like a little drum thing. But them just performing with some musicians or performing their own songs doesn't really happen that much in season 3 of the Muppet Show.
No. Are there any Muppets you wish that they would have shown how they met?
Not necessarily, but I do think it's interesting that they do the thing with Rolf in this movie where they meet him randomly at this hotel bar. And then he's just with them. Like, he just decided to come to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they don't really give him a story of like what he wanted to do with his life or what he wanted to be like doing besides working in that hotel bar. And so it's like he was just like, yeah, sure. You guys got room in your car.
I think one of my favorite lines is when Miss Piggy gets in the car and Rolf's like, I'm Rolf, I'm a dog who plays piano at the hotel. Never mind.
Yeah, which is actually like it is mirrored very well in the 2011 Muppets movie. They have a montage of getting all the Muppets back together, and then suddenly Rolf's just in the car and he's like, hey, why didn't we show the section where you guys came and got me? And then they cut to a scene where he's just like in a hammock and they go, hey, you want to come?
Sure.
And he's like, sure.
Yeah, because Rolf fucking rules.
Rolf does.
He's down
fucking
for
rule.
anything. And maybe this Rolf also is a version of Rolf that was on the Jimmy Dean show. So he's just like, I got friends in Hollywood. Why not? Or maybe they're really close to Hollywood at that point, and it's just a few hour drive away. Not really a big problem on his part.
See, I always, and this again makes no sense if you actually map out the movie. To me, that motel they are at, where Steve Martin works, that they are visiting, is at Niagara Falls.
What the fuck?
And
I always thought it was in Texas somewhere.
See, I always put it in Niagara Falls for some reason. And
it does seem like that's like a Swiss chalet theme. That does make sense for being in the Midwest, like in the Borscht Belt or something somewhere more.
Well, and I think it's because of Superman 2.
Oh, I've never seen
Superman
that.
2, Lois and Clark go to Niagara Falls
Uh-huh.
and like are in a hotel room there, like in a honeymoon suite thing.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know that the hotels look anything alike, but for some reason,
They're the
those
same hotel
two
in
are
your
connected in my brain. That like Miss
Wow.
Piggy and Kermit's date is at the same like hotel that Lois and Clark are at.
head. Like if you turn the camera around, Lois and Clark would be having dinner in that same restaurant.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I've never like been able to like logic that out for any reason, but in my head it is somewhere around Niagara Falls.
Now I'm just missing this opportunity to have Steve Martin show up as a waiter with tiny shorts in a lot of movies throughout the 70s. They all just end up at the same restaurant, and he's like, "Yes, can I help you? Phone call for Clark Kent. Are you Clark Kent? Phone call." That could be like his iconic line in every movie he's in.
If Steve Martin's career had gone a different way, that's the
Yeah.
role he would have just taken in every movie instead of being a international superstar.
Yeah, little shorts waiter boy.
That's what he's credited as in the credits.
Well,
Little
he get
Shorts
his own
Waiter
movie.
Boy by
He get
Stephen
his-
Martin.
He'd get his own movie eventually. You'd learn why he wears the little shorts. I wish they had met Sam Eagle. I think it would have been fun to show him at like in Hollywood already being horrid or something. But I think it would have been fun to see him because he's like one of the main three of Sex and Violence. So it just seems like let's go back to that. He's one of the oldest Muppets. Let's give him a little bit of respect. The oldest Muppets in this universe of Muppets, like of the Muppet Show cast.
Yeah, he could have been working at Lord Grade's.
He could have been his assistant, not the secretary, but like in the office. He'd be like, "Well, sir, I don't know about this."
Yeah, Lou Lord. That's the fake name. Lou.
Uh-huh.
Lord Lou Grade is the real guy.
Is the real dude, yeah.
Yes. Ugh. I get that it's a reference, but it makes it confusing to talk about. Lou Lord is played by Orson Welles. Sam the Eagle could have been working along with Cloris Leachman at Lou Lord's office. And then he could have overseen them as they attempted to start
production.
making them up
That's
in
why
movie.
he's such a busybody. And it would have been very fun to have Orson Welles and Sam Eagle have an extended scene together.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I don't think there was any that I really missed out on as far as like how they met them. As usual, Bunsen and Beaker are always just kind of there.
Yeah.
They just show up
We
in the
live in a
ghost
ghost
town.
because our experiments are illegal. We've been this is the
Yeah,
last
we're
place we
off
can
the
go.
grid.
Yeah.
But I need to rewatch it for like a fifth time. But in my latest rewatch of the ABC series from a few years ago, I kept having the thought of like, why are Bunsen and Beaker working at this TV show? Because
Yeah.
they seem like the same Bunsen and Beaker, but they're still just at the writers' like table having a meeting. But they're never addressed as the writers of the show or stagehands or prop masters. I don't really know why they're there. And this sort of feels like the same thing where they didn't know what to do with them, but they wanted them to be a part of this. And so they stuck them in a
everybody
ghost
loves
town.
them. And Beaker, they do tend to make Beaker into a stagehand, but they never make Bunsen do anything. He is truly always just there.
Yeah. And yeah, I still want nothing more than to see photos or footage of behind the scenes of that giant animal puppet.
Because it was actually giant, right?
It was actually a giant, like 60-foot tall animal head popping out
How
of
is that
a
not
building.
sitting somewhere where the public can go see it and worship it?
Yeah, like a god.
Get fed to it. Yeah.
But yeah, it has been confirmed from Frank Oz on Twitter that was an actual giant head because Jim wanted an actual giant animal head. Frank confirmed that he did not puppeteer it in its giant form,
Yeah.
but it did exist. So it's, I don't know what
Wow.
happened to it, but it's
Do we
out there
even have
somewhere.
any idea how it was puppeteered?
I don't think
Like,
so.
it'd
I
be a
think there's
crane
very
or something.
little information about it. I've seen like two or three photos that are pretty much just stills from the movie. And I don't think anyone has talked about it at length. So if you're
I
out
wonder what
there,
happened to it?
I just want to like see it next to a human being.
Yeah.
I want to see those eyeballs that are 6 feet tall. Like
You want to see the gore cut of the Muppet movie where he's eating all of the henchmen. and
yeah, where they
blood
don't
is
get to run
pouring out
away.
his
He
mouth.
actually
Pouring
like
out his
starts
mouth.
stomping Godzilla style through the town and
Yeah.
just tosses them like M&Ms into his mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have any closing thoughts on the Muppet movie this time?
Something fucked up happens
What's that?
when Sweetums busts through the screen at the end.
Yeah.
This ruins everything. It already makes no sense because in no matter how you slice it, they know Sweetums. When he busts through the screen at the end, Fozzie says, Sweetums.
Oh.
So he knows Sweetums, but they never heard him call himself Sweetums. What's going on there?
That, okay.
I think Sweetums is just taking the piss. I think he's like, I know what I'll do to prank my friends.
It's going to ruin this movie studio theater.
Yeah.
But, like, why does he have a suitcase and he's doing the whole, like, I caught up to you guys thing?
I don't know if he has a suitcase when he pops in the end.
I don't think Sweetums does have his suitcase, but he does say, I finally caught up to you guys.
I know, but I think that's part of his little joke. And I don't think it's a particularly interesting conversation, as we've talked about before. But I'm more curious of just how they let this happen. Like, Jim, I feel like Jim is so detail-oriented, except he just must not care about the story of all this, which is probably a healthier way to do it.
Oh,
It's
for
just
sure. I think it's sort of like, in this
tangled.
movie, you have the meta moment of Fozzie having the script for the movie they are in.
Yeah.
And letting the Electric Mayhem read it to solve a plot problem. If
Yeah.
that just like happened in the middle of the Avengers,
Uh-huh.
where like Steve Rogers is just
Ooh.
like, hey, Iron Man, here's the script for the Avengers. Meet me later when you've read the script. Like, there's too many questions that are raised here. But for some reason, when you watch the Muppet Movie, not for a second do you go, wait, but how did Fozzie get the script? And what does this mean?
And he just
For the
grabs it
movie,
from- I
because-
think Frank just hands it up to him, is what it seems like.
Right. And so I think they're really good at dancing over those things that, if you think about for more than 5 seconds, break everything.
Yeah, they're just such interesting characters because it is like things that happen to them in the fiction are canon because it's like, oh, Gonzo, I saw you dating a chicken or whatever, or like, but they also are there. It's like one of the only things for me, at least, that you can just take it as it is and be like, this doesn't matter. But I think I'm so used to like, there's a Harry Potter movie to explain
Right.
everything that happens in Harry Potter. There's a Star Wars TV show to explain everything that happens in Star Wars. So it's so alien to a 2020s person to be like, what?
Well, I
There's
think that's
multiple
probably
versions of this character.
I think that's probably why maybe some modern day Muppet things struggle to get off the ground is because
Yeah.
people want answers to questions, and there's
Yeah.
not any satisfying good answers to questions when it comes to Muppets. And so I think they have to sort of treat the Muppet Show as if it was a part of their past that they did, but like that is part of their history,
Yeah.
because that's what most people pull facts from, because that's where like, it's the most material we have to pull from. Whereas most of the movies, aside from the Muppet Movie, I think is treated differently. Most of the movies are treated as just movies the Muppets made. They are
Right.
actors in those movies playing pirates, playing Christmas people. But I think the Muppet Movie is treated usually as the same canon timeline as
Yeah.
the Muppet Show,
As a Muppet Show.
which we have
Right.
proven doesn't really make sense. But I think is
Yeah.
how the general public understands the Muppets to exist.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and it's like there's the Kermit and Fozzie have the relationship that the characters of Kermit and Fozzie in the Muppet Show have, that they are or not filming as a show, or maybe it's real or not real, but they still are. They have like the same dynamic. Everybody has the same dynamic that they do when they're playing characters on shows.
Well, I
And it's just
now
like, whoa.
want you to think about this little. It's a thought experiment for you, Sam.
Okay.
If we had to make a movie,
Yeah.
about how you, me, Hank, Nicole, all our other coworkers met each other and started
Oh my
working
God.
together, if we wanted to adapt the actual life story of that, it would not be an interesting story.
It would be so boring. Yeah, you're right.
It would be multiple interviews and it's like editing tests and all of these things. Not exciting for the world to watch.
right.
So-
And some important characters wouldn't get to be in the movie because they weren't around when we met.
Yeah.
So they're less like Scooter. You have to be in this movie. You're Scooter.
Yeah.
Even though we just met you a couple years ago, we've known you the whole time. Nudge, nudge. You're right.
So we would have to fudge some details. We would have to move things around. It's like the Muppets are making their own biopic. And, in
And they're
biopics...
unreliable narrators.
Yes, because biopics, they often collapse timelines. This
Yeah.
song is being sung by Johnny Cash and Walk the Line in 1968, but he didn't record it until 1974. Like, those kinds of
Right.
things happen. And so if I give them credit in that way of, like, this is the movie they made to make their lives more sensational than what they really are.
Right.
And Gonzo was like, fuck, if I get to retell my story, I'm a plumber.
Yeah, Gonzo's so weird in this movie. The plumber thing is another thing that's just like, why? Why have they given him this characteristic?
And it carries through to at least the 2011 movie where he's like, he owns like a toilet factory or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it continues to be a trait of his. But
Yeah.
I think I can understand it a little bit more if I start to put myself in the Muppets' shoes.
Mm-hmm.
As like, if we were the Muppets and had to tell our story, I would definitely lie.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he's a plumber and he's dating a chicken. Another thing he wrote for himself basically into the movie.
Maybe that's how he won over Camilla.
Oh, he gave her a part in the movie.
Or he was like, hey, look at how good this movie works when we're in love. So we should be really in love forever now.
That's true. That's cute. I like her in this movie a lot.
Oh yeah,
she's underrated. Her puppetry is so good.
Yeah, she has so much personality. Thank you, Jerry
Mhm.
Nelson.
Oh, but you know what? A part that really meant a lot to me that hasn't before? When you see all the Muppets at the end.
Oh
Because
yeah,
that time I really was like scanning the crowd, being like,
there's
I could name-
250 Muppets that you have seen before, Sam.
Yeah. And it's like literally I know every Muppet that I'm looking at. I
Yeah,
can
even if
think
we don't
of
remember their
where-
names, we're like, oh, it's that person from Muppet Musicians of Bremen, or it's this
Yeah.
person. Like, yes, no, that same.
That
Like,
part
I
was so
actually
cool.
was wishing they had spent more time on that shot of like a long
Mhm.
panning shot
Like a
showing
pan
each and
across
every
the crowd.
one, but they
Yeah.
zoom out really, really quickly,
Yeah.
and just show you that like, oh, nope, they're all just a bunch of dudes standing in a pit.
Yeah.
But
That
yes,
part
I had
was
the
very
same reaction to that. It was a very nice moment to sort of encapsulate everything we have watched so far. It's interesting to come back to the Muppet Movie a year later because when we talked about this in our first episode, one of the reasons we talked about doing that episode first is because we wanted people to listen to our podcast. Is because we wanted people to listen to an episode about the Muppet Movie as opposed
Yeah.
to Sam and Friends, which not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
But the other reason was because we referred to that as peak Muppet time. As far as this is when the Muppet characters became who they would be forever, and we theorized that this might be the peak of all Muppetdom, and everything is downhill from there.
Uh-huh.
And so we're now about to find out if that is true.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like, we may have reached the peak in Muppet output, which I don't
Yeah.
think is going to be true. I think there will be things after this that we'd enjoy just as much, if not more. But
Mhm.
it is interesting sort of going into the great unknown of post-1979 Muppets. But yeah, moving on from this beautiful, weird movie to a super ugly, not beautiful Muppet. It's time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is Mean Mama.
Oh no. Okay.
One of
You
the
said that
ugliest
earlier and I've
Muppets
forgotten.
by far.
Yeah.
The big brown werewolf dog kangaroo sort of thing. That
I don't
we've
think I've ever
seen.
heard you come at a Muppet as meanly as you're coming at Mean Mama.
I just really had a visceral negative reaction to her this time. And upon, like, I don't like anytime she pops up, whether it's Dancing with the Harlem Globetrotters or in this. Like, I think she's just a super ugly puppet. But this time for me it was like really strong, where I was like, I gotta get my feelings out. She's the Muppet of the Week. We need to tear her down. But yes, we have seen her a number of times, both obviously in the Muppet Show, but in other things as well. Occasionally wearing the torn up ball gown we talked about earlier to try and make it clearer that she is feminine, although at various times it seems the character of Mean Mama has not been consistent because she's often presented with a different personality, voice, and pronouns. So I think it's one of those utility Muppets that they just kind of throw at a scene as they're like, yeah, we need a big scary thing. The Muppets Character Encyclopedia has some insight into the life of Mean Mama. It says she was discovered while she was waiting tables in a truck stop in Plaster City, California. After a successful tour, she joined Kermit's troupe, and she managed to eat only 4 trucks on the tour, which was impressive to everyone.
Having a little bit too much fun over there.
At least this one is more descriptive about the background. I feel like a lot of times the Character Encyclopedia is like, this person liked sewing in their free time. But Mean Mama made her first appearance in the season 2 Don Knotts episode when she was still just a hand puppet hiding behind a counter, where she was in the Beast of the Week sketch, protecting her cute little fuzzy baby from Don Knotts.
A bad sketch.
Oh, very bad sketch. Yes, no, not a great one to start off on for Mean Mama. But then she showed up again as a full body character in the Julie Andrews episode, where she was chasing Julie Andrews down a dark street.
Oh yeah, that's kind of good sketch.
Yeah,
where all the creepy crawlies are coming out of.
I think
all the
Mean Mama
corners.
gets lumped in with the other monsters, and so it makes her shine better. Like in the Alice Cooper episode and a few other things, she gets to hang out with the better monsters.
Uh-huh.
But she usually is if I need to rate the Muppet monsters, I think she's the bottom.
Oh my god, I disagree with you so strongly.
Who do you put at the bottom of that list? Timmy?
Timmy Monster. I wish Timmy Monster never was born.
Oh God, I would much rather look at Timmy Monster than Mean Mama.
Timmy Monster looks like a knockoff Muppet to me.
The last time we saw Mean Mama on the Muppet Show was back in the Leslie Uggams episode, and Mean Mama apparently does not appear in season 4, so we won't be seeing her for a little while. But she will pop up once more in the season 5 Carol Burnett episode. As I think I mentioned earlier, there has been no consistent performer for Mean Mama. And everyone from Richard Hunt to Dave Goles, Jim Henson, Jerry Nelson, Louise Gold, they've all performed Mean Mama at one point. And Mean Mama, apparently in some early publications, was referred to as Big Mama. But internally at Henson, they apparently called her Mean Mama. So some sort of mama at all times. Mm-hmm. And we will see Mean Mama a few more times outside of the Muppet Show, but not very much. She will show up in The Ghost of Fafner Hall in 1989.
Have we found that one? That's what I'm very curious about.
There's some of it out there. I don't know if we can find and watch all of it, but I know there is definitely some of it, and it is one of the things I did not know even existed before starting this podcast, so I'm excited to get to it.
I read a pretty mean review of it on Tough Picks.
It
and
looks
I've been curious about it ever since.
Weird, which I think sums up a lot of late 80s Jim Henson things. But Mean Mama will also pop up in an episode of Dog City in 1994.
I'm very excited for Dog City.
And then not again until 2020 for Muppets Now, where they call her Carol.
Okay.
And she plays a part in one of Pepe's game show segments where people are throwing socks into her mouth.
That's demeaning.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, that is, more than I thought there would be about Mean Mama. But that is all there is about Mean Mama. I hate her. I gave her a 32 out of 60.
You pre-rated her. You didn't even think.
Nope,
have to
didn't
think
need
about
to. It was a very instantaneous thought.
I think she's kind of fun, but I despise when she's wearing makeup and that dress, and I think she looks really disgusting that way. So I will give her a 2.5 stars. She's trying her best.
I think that's generous, but all right.
But I think she looks cool.
No, I hate her design so much.
She looks like Taz, like we said, and everybody loves Taz, right?
I do like Taz.
But I don't generally mind Mean Mama that much. I think the Mutations and Timmy Monster all look worse than her.
I love the Mutations, so I'm going to disagree there. But let us know on Twitter how you feel about Mean Mama, if you are one of her defenders along with Sam. Our Twitter is @KermitmentPod.
I would not say I'm a defender.
No, you just went to bat for her.
That's a little strong.
Mean Mama's #1 fan, Sam Schultz.
I didn't say she was trash that should be thrown in the dump like you did. That's all.
So, Sam, on top of the Muppet Movie and Muppets Go Hollywood, did you have time to enjoy any non-Muppet things this week?
I didn't watch a ton of stuff this week. I don't remember why. I did watch Miss Maisel, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, whatever it's called. We've been watching that since it came out a few years ago. It's like on its 4th season, I think. Created by the Amy Sherman Palladino. Is that her name?
Yep.
Who made the Gilmore Girls. Not gonna go to bat too hard for Miss Maisel. It's a little bit grating. I mostly think it's pretty fun though. And it's beautiful. Like there's period piece costumes. It takes place in the 50s, the late 50s. And it's a woman who wants to be a stand-up comedian in a world where that's not really allowed. But then it's kind of slowly becoming more and more acceptable. And it's just like tracing her rise to fame or wherever she ends up going, since she's not a real person. But this season features her as the MC of a strip club, but it's an illegal strip club that's more like a burlesque show, and it's clearly in an old vaudeville theater that looks exactly like the Muppet Theater.
Huh.
And the acts are like really extravagant, even though there's women getting naked in them. There's like huge set pieces and like beautiful like conceits to each strip tease that they're doing. And it feels so much like the Muppet Show. There's like people in the boxes who are like heckling her,
Huh.
and stuff goes wrong, and like curtains fall on people, or like
That
the
has to be
sets fall
intentional,
apart.
right?
It feels so intentional. There's a part where they mention a costume designer, and I got really excited because they say, "Oh, can we get Zelda on this?"
Oh,
And I
so
forgot
close.
that it wasn't Hilda, because I
Yeah.
get those names confused because of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, as I've said before. But I was like, "Oh shit, this is a Muppet Show reference." But then I think it was just an accident. But it looks so similar to Muppet Theater. So the whole time that's happening, not because there's nude women on the screen. Come on. I was just like, my attention was and another big part of it is her backstage, because it's like a dump when she gets there, and it's run by like a sleazy dude who like doesn't know what he's doing. So she's got to be like, "You guys got to get on stage right now. Where's so and so? You got to tell me what to announce. Come on," and like getting like everything in ship shape, and like getting all the people ready to get out there and perform. And that part is really fun. That's probably like my favorite subplot of Miss Maisel so far, is her working at the strip club. Probably in no small part to the Muppet Showiness. But if you'd like to see a gritty reimagining of the Muppet Show and are okay seeing lots of breasts, then check out Miss Maisel. Have you ever watched it?
I have not, but this made me vastly more interested in watching it than I have ever
Oh,
been.
I think you'd enjoy it.
I just don't have
It's-
Amazon Prime, so that's the main
Oh,
reason I haven't watched
yeah,
it. Is I just
yeah,
don't have the
that's a good
platform.
It's very Gilmore Girls-y, and a lot of actors pop up from Gilmore Girls in it to do fun little things.
Which I really like Gilmore Girls, so I think I
Mhm.
would enjoy it. I just haven't, haven't sat down to watch it.
And next season's the last season, so wait till it's all out. Then you can just cram it all in.
Sign up for a little Prime trial and just
A free trial and watch it
marathon
all.
it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I also watched a lot of nudity this week.
Oh, okay.
I've been watching the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix,
Oh, I
which is
don't know what that
it's a
is.
new documentary. Apparently, like long time ago, they put out a book of the Andy Warhol Diaries, which are like his actual diaries that he dictated to somebody who transcribed them. And so they've made a documentary now of interviewing a lot of the people from his life, talking about these times that were in his diaries. And so.
Mhm.
It's got a lot of great footage in there and talks about a lot of things that I didn't know about Andy Warhol. But to be fair, I didn't know a lot about Andy Warhol going in at all. So
All I know
most
about
of it
him,
is
I
new.
learned from Men in Black 3.
Well, I don't think any of that is going to come up. So,
Oh, shoot.
But one of the interesting things about it is, one, yes, you will see a lot of nudity throughout this because of different photo shoots Andy Warhol did, and they do not shy away from showing like everything. So you will see a lot of nudity. But one of the more interesting things about it is that it is narrated by an AI Andy Warhol.
What?
So they have him reading the entries
Like a
from his
deep-faked
diary.
Andy Warhol?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it sounds very, very good.
That's freaky.
Yeah, it's very strange. Because at first I was like, maybe they just hired a voice actor who sounds a lot like Andy Warhol or could do a good impression. But like the first credit that pops up at the beginning of the credits at the end of the episode is like AI Andy Warhol provided by this company.
What?
Yeah. So it's a little weird and a little disturbing. Thankfully, it's being used to read words he actually wrote from his own diary. So it's like, I guess that's more okay than just like giving him things he never would have said, because you can so
Right.
easily turn this technology into make Andy Warhol say like, I hated art. I hated these people. I want to burn them all to the ground.
Yeah. Or like, buy Pepsi.
Yeah. So again, very, scary, weird technology being used for an okay purpose.
Yeah. Well, iffy probably. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are mad about it, but
Yeah, it does make me curious of the future uses of AI voices, because obviously they did it for Mark Hamill on the Book of Boba Fett. But
yeah, which I did not know.
I'm wondering if they'll do it for Darth Vader in the future. James Earl Jones is like 90. I feel like in the future, I could very easily see them, if they can get the rights, having James Earl Jones's voice in an AI system where they can just have Darth Vader show up in Star Wars things forever. And have it sound exactly the same.
I feel like there was, speaking of parallel universes, there was a fork in reality where
Oh God, another one.
the world could have accepted Alden Ehrenreich, what's his name? Something
Yes.
like that, as Han Solo, or denied or said, no, this is not Han Solo. I only want to see Harrison Ford as Han Solo. In the universe where Alden, whatever, was Han Solo, we get Bucky from Winter Soldier as Mark Hamill. And it would have been okay to recast those. But I don't think it's okay to recast those. So I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing CGI faces of all of the stars of yesteryear with their voices recreated.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to start seeing like Princess Leia and other people start showing up in the Obi-Wan show or these kinds of things. So yeah, I think you are right.
Which sucks because there's plenty of people who could, I mean, all you have to do is go on screen and say, hello, I'm Princess Leia. And everybody's like, hi, Princess Leia. And you forget in like 2 seconds. How many times have they recast? We talked about this last episode. Maybe.
I think so, yeah.
But it's like, come on. But Andy Warhol, I guess that's a little less weird in some ways.
So, before we go, we need to let you know what we're watching next time. And next week, we'll be returning to our regularly scheduled chronological Muppet viewing as we head into September and October of 1979.
Did you enjoy this little break that we took, though?
Yeah, it was kind of nice to, be talking about some other stuff that isn't the Muppet Show, but it also, it does make me more excited to get into the Muppet Show again.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll be watching some season 4 episodes of The Muppet Show, the first 3, in fact, in New York airing order, which means we'll be watching the episodes featuring guests John Denver, Linda Lavin, and Shields and Yarnell. And we'll also be watching a brief appearance from the Muppets at the Emmy Awards and Big Bird showing up in the Bob Hope special On the Road to China, which is the special of, I believe, they talk about in I Am Big Bird, where Bob Hope went on TV and was talking about wanting to repair relations with China. And next year at this time, you'll see me walking down the Great Wall of China with Big Bird arm in arm. And Carol Spinney was like, what the fuck? And this was like not apparently a planned thing they were going to do. Bob Hope just said it. And then they were like, I guess we have to go to China with Bob Hope now. So, yeah, we'll be watching. Big Bird just appears in like a middle segment of that. So we'll be watching a little bit of it, not the whole thing. And also, before we go, we need to thank our friend Tuna for creating the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. You can follow this podcast on Twitter at KermitmentPod, where we will tweet out the links to everything that you can watch that we are going to watch, and also the link to our new Patreon page. And don't forget, if you want to pick up a pin, you can head over to Kermitment.com to pick up a Kermitment logo enamel pin. The link for our Patreon will also be on the website, so you can go there for all the things. And if you want to email us, have any thoughts about anything we talked about this week, you can email us at mail@kermitment.com, and you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz. And also, thanks for listening, everybody, for bearing with us for a year.
Yes, thank you very much for listening to this entire year of us, flapping our gums about Muppets and, not knowing a lot about Muppets early on, but we've come a long way, Sam. We've done it.
And who knows, 20 years from now when we're still doing this shit, we're going to be so good at it.
We're going to be obnoxiously good at it.
I could maybe possibly string together a coherent thought in 20 years. That would be amazing.
When we're revisiting the Muppet Movie again in 20 years, and it's 16K release.
Yeah, we finished the last episode of Muppets Go to the Metaverse. Like, what do we do now? Do you want to just start all over again? Okay.
On repeat until one of us dies.
Yeah.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.